Welcome back, guys. I'm gonna go a little bit faster in this video because my other videos are like super slow, boring, and like I fall asleep trying to watch and edit the thing before I get it done. So I'm gonna go a little bit faster on this one. We're gonna use the same sort of thing again. This is finding the missing side of a right triangle. This time we're going to use a different function. And the first thing we need to do again is remind ourselves, what are the three trig functions? Well, the three trig functions are sine, cosine, and tangent. And I use this little acronym, SO, CA, COA, to remember what they are. And there's our three trig functions. Now, you don't have to write these on your paper. You just want to keep these listed off to the side somewhere and refer back to them as you need to. And we're going to use this list of the trig functions to figure out which trig function we use for this triangle. The first thing I've got to do is label my sides. Step one, label your sides. Okay, so let's just ignore this for 1 second. I'll push it off over here and I'm going to label my sides. Here is my reference angle, so I'm going to circle it. This is the angle they give me. This is the point of reference from which all these labels come from. My longest side is always opposite or the furthest away from the right angle. That is always my hypotenuse. Okay. Then my opposite side from my reference angle is the one furthest away from the reference angle. Sometimes this is the opposite, sometimes this is the opposite, sometimes this is the adjacent, sometimes this is the adjacent. It depends on which reference angle I'm using, this one or that one. But the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. It's always the furthest side from the right triangle. So here we have the opposite side of our reference angle, and over here the side that touches our reference angle is the adjacent. Adjacent means next to. So the adjacent side is next to the reference angle. Now let's bring these back in and let's see what we've got. I notice right off the bat that I don't have a variable or a value for opposite. So I can't use opposite. I'm not going to be able to use anything with opposite in it. So I come over here to my trig functions and I look, oh, look right there, there's opposite. I can't use it. Not here. Oh, look, there's opposite. Can't use it. So sine and tangent are out because I don't have an opposite value to put in those fractions. But adjacent and hypotenuse, I have adjacent and I have hypotenuse. Okay? Adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'm going to use cosine. Let's write cosine over here on our paper. Cosine. So I'm going to sit those off to the side. And I'm going to remind myself cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. I'm going to fill these values in for this fraction. Adjacent is 23. Hypotenuse is x. Okay, 23 and x. So I'm using cosine and I've filled in my sides. So I'm going to rewrite this as the cosine. This is my standard equation of 79 degrees. 79 degrees equals 23 over x. Now I need to get x by itself. I need to solve for x because after all, that's what I'm solving for, is this hypotenuse over here. I need to get x by itself. How do I do that? Algebraically, let's just take this, step by step. Let's look at a simple example for the algebra. Everybody gets confused on the algebra. What if I had a simple number? Cosine of 79 is just a number like maybe 5. 5 equals, let's say, 15 over x, okay? We'd solve this by multiplying this by x and this other side by x to get rid of the fraction. X is canceled, and you get x times 5 equals 15. Well, you divide both sides by 5 to get x equals 3. That's what I'm going to do over here with this problem. I'm thinking of cosine of 79 as just a number, So to solve this, I'm going to multiply both sides by x. Okay? So these over here cancel. 23 times x divided by x is just 23. And over here I have x times the cosine of 79 degrees equals 23. Now what I do, I'm trying to get x by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by cosine. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Cosine 79 degrees. X times the cosine of 79 degrees divided by the cosine of 79 degrees is going to leave me with just x, right? And I can rewrite this as x equals 23 over the cosine of 79 degrees. Okay? And the way I'm going to enter this into my calculator, I'm going to enter it in as x equals, but the part I'm going to enter in my calculator is 23 divided by cosine 79 degrees. Right? This is going to be a key stroke here. 23 divided by cosine 79 degrees. Okay? So algebraically, pause the video and look at that if you need to, and then we'll keep going. I'll show you how to solve it on the calculator. The hard part's over. At this point, we just need to put it in the calculator. First, I'm going to do it with a classroom calculator. I'm going to press clear, and I'm literally going to enter it just like this. 23 divided by cosine. Our cosine button is right here above the parenthesis. We have the 8, the parenthesis, and then the button above it, COS, 79, the other parenthesis, enter. And I get 120, x equals 120.539, so on and so forth. Let's look over here. That's a long hypotenuse. But let's keep going because I'm certain that it's right. Okay. Up here it says we're going to round to the nearest tenth of a foot. The nearest tenth of a foot. Okay. The nearest tenth of a foot. That means we're going to be rounding. Let me scoot this up so you can see it here. We're going to be rounding to the nearest tenth. Now this number, we don't worry about this digit over here. We're only looking at the digit to the right of what we want to round. Because it is not a 5 or greater, we're not going to change the tenths. It is a 3. So our final answer is going to be 120.5. That's our hypotenuse. Okay, x equals 120.5. Going back to this step with our iPhone calculator, because the hard part's up here, the algebra. Down here we have x equals 23 divided by cosine of 79. Let's first get, for the iPhone calculator, let's make this cosine of 79 some number. X equals 23 divided by, and let's go ahead and get the cosine of 79 and just convert it to a decimal. The way you get the cosine of 79 on the iPhone is you press 79 and you press the cosine key, cosine, and you get 0.1908. 0.1908. We just put the cosine of 79 in our calculator and convert it to a decimal. Now I just enter this in here. 23 divided by 0.1908, and we get 120.54. 120.54, and that is the same. That's going to end up being the same number that we got from the other one, because that 5 is not going to get rounded up. And as I uncover and compare it to the way the other calculator we use, you can see that we get 120.5 for both the classroom calculator and the iPhone calculator. So now we're going to do it again with the Samsung calculator. Remember, we're here when we just change this to 23 divided by cosine of 79. The thing I prefer about the Samsung calculator is it works just like our classroom calculator. 23 divided by, right? So 23 divided by cosine. I press my cosine key, and look, it looks just like this. 79, close my parentheses, and I hit equal, and it gives me 120.539. So you can see that the 120.539 is going to be 120.5, 120.5. Everybody says 120.5. And that's how you do it with the Samsung. I'm a big Apple fan, but I do prefer the Samsung calculator. Let's go over to DeltaMath, and let's see how to solve with the DeltaMath calculator. Same problem, haven't changed anything. I'm going to go up here to the right, way to the top right, and click on calculator, and my calculator pops up on the bottom, and I'm going to type in, see, the interesting thing about DeltaMath, it has what you're typing in over here in Los Angeles, and then way over here in Atlanta it'll give you the answer, or give you what you're typing. So, but anyway, the way I'm going to do this, and remember I had, let's see, it was 23 divided by the cosine of 79. 23 divided by the cosine of 79. So I'm just going to type that. 2, 3 divided by. Then I come over here to my functions button, click functions. I go find cosine, click. And look how it's putting it over here for us, right? I'm going to type in, I'm going to click back to get my numbers again. And the angle was 79, 79. And look, the answer is already over here. 120.53, which we don't have to round anything. It's just going to be 120.5. So I'm going to click up here and answer. I'm going to type 120.5. Submit answer. Are you sure? Well, of course I'm sure. Click, and I get my big green check. And there you have it, all 4 calculators for cosine.